and you feel this person is actually making the earth a better place. No fellow exists to make the earth a better place. They all exist to eat out the earth, as we have already done. You know where the doomsday clock stands as of this moment. Just 85 seconds from the final catastrophe. But such naivete, such cute stupidity. But he is supposed to be a good fellow, after all he is a celebrity. But he is supposed to be noble, after all he is a politician. He didn't become a politician to be noble, he became a politician to fulfill his own wild desires. That's the principle of the jungle. And the only exceptions are the sages and the saints. And they are extremely rare. They are the only exceptions. A Buddha is an exception, but on this stage we aren't talking of a Buddha right now, are we? Apart from a Buddha, do not accept selflessness from anybody. And if somebody has power, they will put it to the meanest, lowest kind of use. But away from the public eye, so you won't see. So you won't see, and you will remain deluded, and you will keep thinking, no. I worshipped 5 celebrities, only 2 of them are corrupt. The remaining 3 are all right. No, the remaining 3 are yet not exposed. That's the principle. Don't wait for events, stick to principles. When events come, they come as a disruption. They shock. And shocks are not pleasant experiences, right? Are they? Yeah.
I think I was unable to explain my question properly. It's just the idea that even if we accept the idea that everybody is sort of, let's say, corrupt or bad, it's not about naivety here, right? It's about the real consequences. So we do not have any other option. So even if we accept, just a second, sir, even if we accept that everybody is corrupt per se, if you are being pragmatic, right? If you want to work something in the world, the only option to not be compliant to them abusing children is probably to kill them, right? That's the only
No.
How?
Had you known well in advance, would you have been here in the first place? You are here in the first place because you fell prey to propaganda. Instead of telling me 5 times I haven't understood the question, which is a fairly normal question I might have encountered 100 times, pay attention to the answer. There is nothing in the question that's so complicated that even a person of average IQ won't comprehend it. There is nothing in the question. And what I'm saying to you is something you might not very frequently hear. So pay attention. Your idols have feet of clay. You're saying we don't have options. And sitting in front of me, to me he's saying there are no options except the corporate. Ha. Then what am I doing? I found my own way, I didn't copy anybody. You find your own way out. But you will find no way if at this early age, being so young, you have surrendered so meekly, saying, but I don't have any options, what do I do? Once I too was your age, sitting at IIT, had I said, but there are no options but to toe the line, to either become a technocrat or a bureaucrat or a manager or something, I wouldn't have been sitting here in front of you. You can be disrespectful, I don't mind that. But don't be untruthful. I don't come here to garner respect from you. I come here so that we can uncover the truth together. The truth is the priority. When you say that you don't have an option, you are being untruthful. How many of you would want to say you don't have an option? That kind of helplessness, seriously? That kind of meekness, that kind of disability, that kind of reluctance to challenge life as it is? Does that behove a young person? Does it? That's the answer. See that the world stands all ready to entrap you and then refuse to be entrapped. That's what youth is all about, right? What else are you young for? Just to have sex? No, not really. Don't say I don't have options. That sounds so jarring. I don't have options. You always have options. The very name of consciousness is choice. You know what does not have options? Inert matter. Laws of inertia, they apply to matter. And what does inertia mean? Choicelessness. The ball goes up. It is choiceless. It has no option. It will have to obey gravity and fall. You roll the ball, and if there is very little friction, it will keep rolling. It has no option. Inert matter, dead matter, unconscious matter does not have choices. But you are youthful, conscious young beings. If you don't see choices, generate them. That's your power. And don't insult yourself by refusing your own power. Somebody comes and tells you you don't have any ability, any agency. That doesn't matter. But when you start telling yourself, I have no ability, no agency, that's lack of self-esteem. Don't do that. Even in your worst situation, always tell yourself, I still have a choice. Never say I have to necessarily follow the word. Never, never. You're not born to obey. You're not born to disobey either. You're born to live by the heart. And the heart is always in love with the truth. It does not like statements of weakness. Nobody enjoys that, right? Do you enjoy that? Do you enjoy being weak? Yeah? Then why choose to be weak? Simple. And now that I admit that I have still not comprehended your question, please enlighten me.
So, but again, that even if I accept I can do something, it doesn't really change what's happening in the world, right? To an extent,
Sir. What I'm saying applies not only to you, but to him, but to her, but to everybody here. So it's not that you are the only exception, the only rare, noble, great exception who will go out to live a truthful life and change the world. What I'm saying applies to everybody. We are the ones who have brought the world to the stage it is in, right? We are the creator of the world as it stands today. We change, it changes. We change ourselves, the world changes. As simple as that. Right? And frozenness, lack of flexibility, lack of admission of new possibilities is something that belongs to 80-year-olds, not 18-year-olds. 18-year-olds should be vibrating with possibility. Not helplessness, saying, oh no, but this is utopian, this cannot happen. Even if I try to, nothing will change. One does what he can. One does the best one can. After that, fine. Once you have put everything into what is right, you don't even remain to wait for the result or evaluate the result, because you have already given everything that you could. It's almost like playing a 5-setter in tennis and then collapsing. You don't even survive to look at the result, to celebrate it or bemoan it. One does the best one can. Last time I came to your campus, that was that big auditorium, some 1,200, 1,500 students packed to capacity. I gave the best I could. This time I hear there is some rock song, some dance show going on. So there is this smaller audience here. I'm still giving my best. And I'll be as contented as I was the last time. Why should I worry about the result? And once I'm giving everything, does result really matter? The process is sufficient. Speak to the mic.
It does matter because children are being abused here, right? It's like a grave
Sir,
responsibility.
children are being abused because a lot of young people like you are choosing to serve those masters. Once a lot of young people like you refuse to serve those masters, the kids will be saved. So don't locate the problem and the responsibility somewhere out there. The problem and the responsibility, first of all, have to be seen here. And then begins the solution. Do you understand this? It's very easy, see, to pass a resolution condemning all those who are named in certain files or whose names are tainted by certain scandals, and we can say, oh, this one is at fault. The thing is that no, this one is at fault. There is a system, there is a principle behind it, there is a uniformity, there is a continuity. By castigating certain individuals and exonerating others, you are trying to pretend as if the system is all right. However, there were some unruly individuals who proved to be an exception. No. It's not that some unruly individuals are proving to be an exception. That system produces all individuals of the same kind. And if kids are being abused, that's not merely by certain people, but even in their families. Why do you think kids are being abused only by certain named specific individuals? If there is one category at the receiving end of the worst kind of abuse on this planet, among our species, other species obviously, they are the most abused. But within our species, if there is one most abused category, it is kids. In homes, at schools, everywhere, and not just physically. You are conditioning a kid all the time. How is that not abuse? You are loading the kid with beliefs, with a particular culture, with a particular religion, with dogma. How is that not abuse? One could even argue that that's worse than physical abuse. And that's happening everywhere. That's not happening only at certain specific places by certain specific individuals. Right? And that's happening because we are who we are. Creatures of the jungle. Right? And once that is seen, maybe there is some possibility of emerging from the jungle. But if you keep pretending that just by wearing formals and a nice sweatshirt or a decent jeans or something, whatever that I am wearing, just by wearing this, you have become cultured and civilized and humane, that's the biggest lie. That's a lie that humanity has told itself throughout history. That lie is what needs to be called out, not just certain individuals.
Is it an ad hominem you're talking about? Anyway, so thank you so much, sir.
Hello, sir. So my question is that we talk about strengthening the mind as a tool to navigate through the life. How does one do that? And
Strengthening the
mind. There are many practices like yoga and meditation, but for how long should one practice it, or do we really need different practices or something else?
mind strengthened. Actually, the phrase does not mean much. The mind is nothing but a lot of objects structured around the ego. As of now, is the entire universe present in what you call your mind? No. Only certain objects, right? You might be thinking of your classes, your assignments, certain individuals, certain objects you have, certain clothes, certain faces, certain events, certain memories, right? Only certain objects, right? And he is not thinking of all that. The set of objects he is carrying here will be different from the set he is carrying, and that will be different from what he is carrying, right? Who decides that set? Obviously, the set is not deciding for itself. Who decides? You decide, right? So the ego is the architect of the mind. The ego chooses the objects to keep, and it also chooses the relationship it will have with those objects, and also the priority order and many other things, the entire structure, a complex architecture. Mind then in itself is inanimate, unconscious. The mind then is like a building. The mind then is like a building. The building that has been conceived by, designed by, built by, and maintained by the ego. The ego. The ego builds it, and occasionally the ego also keeps. What do you do with a building when you don't like it much? Yeah, either rebuild it, reconstruct it, or simply renovate it, furnish it, take some items out, get new curtains, raise a wall somewhere, right? Or bring down a wall somewhere. But the house doesn't do all this, the building doesn't do all this for itself. So talking of the mind is like shifting the spotlight away from the real doer. A crime happened in a building. Do you ever launch an FIR against the building? Do you do that? And if you do that, then for sure you are trying to save the real criminal. Somebody is killed inside a building. And what does the FIR mention? The building and not the killer. Surely somebody is trying to save the killer, right? Similarly, when we say, oh, the mind is doing this, let's silence the mind, let's bring the mind to peace, and he said, strengthen the mind, such things, then we are taking attention away from the place where the real mischief is. And that place is called the ego. The ego is the runner of the mind, the creator and the operator. The creator and the operator. The mind is the entire environment around the ego. The mind, in some sense, is a fortress around the ego. The mind is an armor around the ego, built by the ego itself. Getting it? Now, revisit your question. Yeah, I understand. But now, where does your question stand in light of the definition?
Yeah, we have many practices like yoga and meditation.
Right.
And many people use them for strengthening the mind. So, do we actually need it? And now, as you mentioned, ego. So, do we need to? You mentioned the ego, and we have yoga and meditation for ourselves. So, are these all related? And are these practices for the ego?
Originally, yes. But actually, practically, no. What happens is that the ego starts aiming at everything except itself. Whereas the real disease lies within the ego. So much so that the ego itself can be called a disease. But the ego starts targeting, for example, the body. I have to keep the body still. As if the restlessness lies in the body. The ego also starts targeting the mind. The thing is, if the mind is vibrating, it is probably because the owner of the house is doing something very stupid inside the house, playing some extremely loud music, which is causing even the walls to vibrate. But then the ego would say there is something wrong with the walls. The ego would never admit there is something wrong with me. So in name of all the meditation practices, the ego unfortunately succeeds in not looking at itself. Whereas the original purpose is always to bring the ego to the mirror. Because that's the only place where any problem is. The sense of the self, the I-ness, that's where every problem is. But then, you are told, if you go to such and such place, your problems will be solved. Now the ego is focusing on that place. And in doing that, it has successfully turned the attention away from itself. And that's exactly what this culprit, this rascal wants. To never look at itself. Okay, give me a rosary. Give me something sacred to hold. Tell me some method that delivers salvation. And I'll focus on that method. Focusing on that method greatly appeases the ego because it ensures that now the ego won't have to look at itself. Okay, here is the story of some divine lord. Here is some ancient sacred story written in some ancient sacred book. Worship the ancient hero. The ego will be very happy doing that because in worshipping anybody outside of itself, the ego happily succeeds in turning the attention away from itself. I will simply say, oh, the Lord is great, without acknowledging that I am the thing farthest from greatness. But now I won't mind. I crawl like an insect, but Lord is great. Do you have to live the Lord's life? You must focus on your own life, right? That's what the entire domain of religion, spirituality, and wisdom literature is all about. To improve your life as it is. But most of these so-called practices, they succeed in having you look away from yourself. Look at Babaji, look at that mountain top, look at that desert, think of that miracle, many other things, you know of them, right? Wait for that particular auspicious day, wait for a particular position of the moon. And you're looking at the moon and not looking at, and the ego is rejoicing. I finally got another object to stand distracted. The ego loves objects. After all, the mind is itself an aggregation of objects. The mind loves objects. So it would objectify even the concept of God. So I am the subject, I am the thinker, and I think about God. So God is now my object. So in the building, there are hundreds of objects, including something called the God object. The ego loves objects because so many objects help secure the subject at their center. Putting all those objects around itself, the ego subject stands fortified. So irrespective of the discipline or the ritual you are following, never forget yourself. Remembering yourself, that is the bottom line.
So, but then what is the difference between ego and self?
Same. I. Even literally, I.
So in normal sense, when we talk about ego, it is something we can imagine of in a negative manner, ego, and self as positive. Then how can they both be same?
That is a prevalent ignorance. You think of ego as pride, vanity, such things. No, ego is a technical term. It simply means I amness. So if somebody says, oh, I'm great, I'm strong, I'm rich, I'm knowledgeable, that you will easily say is ego, right? But if somebody says, I'm meek, I'm humble, I'm nobody, even that is ego. because that too includes I am. I'm great. That's ego because that includes I am. I am meek. Even that is ego because that includes I am. So I am X. I am X. In this, X is not the ego. X is the object of the ego. I am is the ego. I am is the ego, not X. But this I am collects plethora of X's, X1, X2, Xn, and in middle of all the X's it stands and now I'm safe. I have all these objects to defend me. This is money, this is knowledge, this is network, this is friends, this is memory, this is my latest gadget, that's my big car, that's my wife, the 4 kids. So all these objects, plus this is my religion, anything, everything that you can think of is an object to the ego. And the ego accumulates objects so that it can feel a little certain of itself, a little safe.
So now, as you mentioned, that they succeed in taking us away from ourselves, these practices. But what if someone feels that he has come with that mirror? Because there are some instances that I have experienced with my own self. So should one practice them, or how much should one practice them? And where does rationale come into place between all this?
I am feeling. Even feeling is an object. The ego loves to feel. Because even feeling is an object. Thoughts and feelings are just objects. The ego enjoys them, greatly enjoys them. In feeling, do you look back at yourself? Is any feeling a mirror? No. In fact, feeling allows you to get away from yourself. All feelings are themselves objects dependent on other objects. Is there ever a feeling without an object? So even feeling is an object to the ego because you say, I am the feeler. Or you say, I am feeling something. Right? So even that is an object. Right? And the ego would love each of these. Similarly, you said, I have experience with my own self. All experiences have the ego as the experiencer. Oh. in enjoying the experience so much, or in valuing it or respecting it so much, we tend to ignore who the experiencer is. The ego is the experiencer of all objects. You see, there is the ego, there is that object. One of the relationships between these two is of experience. In fact, experience can also be called as the umbrella relationship that includes all possible relationships between the ego and its objects. So just because you experienced something does not mean that something is good, bad, ugly, nice, whatever. Because after all, who is the experiencer? The ego is the experiencer. And the ego will ensure that its experiences never violate its existence. All your experiences are customized to help you stay who you are. That's the reason. Take an example. Right now as I speak, what you experience is very different from what he experiences. Whereas I'm saying the same thing, right? And you both are equidistant from me almost. But you as an experiencer are different. You are EX1. He is EX2. Therefore, your respective experiences will also be very different. In fact, if I ask you, both of you, to pick up a notebook and enumerate what I have said just now in the session till now in, let's say, 10 points. The 10 points here will be greatly different from the 10 points there. How? Because the ego has no concern for facts or truth. It will hear only what it wants to hear. It will remember only what it will interpret only as it wants to interpret. The experiencer itself is a fraud. Now how do we respect the experience? The inner experiencer is a big fraud. It has no respect for facts. It has respect only for its own survival. And its survival is always questionable, always threatened. We'll come to that later, why the ego in itself is a false thing. But let it suffice for now that the ego is always afraid, always afraid. Therefore, it will not easily admit facts. It will filter according to its convenience. So don't in religious practice, don't give too much weightage to experience. A lot of people fall in this trap. They say, but we experience a certain divine energy. Sir, why do you experience divine energies only at your preferred places? A Hindu will not experience divine energies at a mosque. A Muslim will not experience divine energies at a temple. Right? Why does all that happen? Only as per your dogma. Right? Oh, I had a great dream in which my beloved God came to me. Okay, fine, you are a Muslim. Why doesn't the Jewish God come to you? Or you are a Hindu. Why doesn't the Buddha come to you? Right? So don't give too much weightage to experience. Never say it is true because I experienced it. Experience is a great liar. Spiritual practice is actually about using experience to detect the lies of the experiencer. Use experience to expose the experiencer. Let's say you were chased by a dog when you were a kid, right? There is some random stray dog, harmless, and you find that one coming to you, and you still get nervous, even anxious, and if he's coming speedily towards you, you feel like running away, right? The same kind of reaction he does not display. Use this experiencer to see what is sitting within. Use experience to know the experiencer. The same dog is coming towards both of you. Let's say the two of you are walking in the campus, and this random dog is just coming to you. And he's all right, not even noticing it. And you find you're sweating. See where the experiencer is coming from. The experiencer is not real. The experiencer is an imprint of a past event. It has no authenticity. It is conditioned. Same thing applies to all experiences. This little thing, if you can remember and practice, to not give too much weightage to your experience, to give not too much weightage to your likes and dislikes. Never say, oh, I'll go towards it because I like it. You like it, fine. How does that matter? Endorse something only if there is authenticity in it. Go towards something only if it is truthful, not because it is likable. At your age, your hormones can make you like almost anything. So you have to see through the experiencer. I know where it is coming from. It's all coming from that experiencer. I know where it's coming from. If you can do that, you'll stay clear of a lot of traps in life.
So, but then what is truth if the ego filters?
The ego and the truth anyway do not go together. We don't even need to talk of the truth. Facts are sufficient. The ego doesn't even want to admit facts. When the ego, for a change, honestly comes in complete contact with facts, it tends to disappear. Facts are sufficient. Have you seen how people live in their opinions and stories? Do they live in facts? Have you seen how easy it is to spread misinformation? Seen that? The ego loves opinions, stories, and falsehood. Have you seen how difficult it is to clear away falseness? If somebody is living in a certain narrative, a certain story, and you want to talk him out of it, have you seen the kind of resistance he gives? Because the ego has no taste for facts. Even if it will pick a fact, it will be a convenient fact. The ego will do some kind of cherry picking and pick up some isolated fact from somewhere that suits its own narrative and survival. So truth can be left alone. That's a deeper engagement. Even facts. Learn to live in facts. And facts are not just something that exists outside of you. The inner fact also. You are jealous of someone. That's an inner fact. Do you admit that? Rarely. Because it doesn't feel morally good to admit that I'm jealous. You are afraid of someone. Do you admit that? No? You are coveting something that someone has. Do you admit that? You don't. The practice must be to surrender to fact wherever you find it. Just bow your head. If the fact is seen, I can't unsee it. Almost like the scientific method. Just that the scientific method deals only with external facts. External facts, right? An equation that you solve yields the result x is equal to 1.98. You don't approximate it to 2.0. Do you do that? That's the kind of sincerity and rigor and care you must apply to the internal world also. You must know what is what. 1.8, 1.98 is not 2.0. Getting it? Similarly, possessiveness is not love. Don't approximate. Attachment is not care. Don't approximate. Keep things very rigorous, very clean, very precise. Are you getting it? Is respect another name for fear? But have you examined most of the times when you say, oh, I am respectfully silent, you are actually fearfully silent. Have you seen that? If you have seen that, that's worse. Because even after seeing that, you still continue to remain silent. Just as 1.98 is not 2.0, fear is not respect. Insecurity is not care. Or is it? And insecurity is not ambition either. Have you noticed so many times when you say, oh, I have this ambition, you are actually talking of insecurity, just giving it a decorated name. That's the inner scientific rigor. I will not approximate. Right? The whole thing must follow a very honest progression, like when you solve a mathematical equation. Spirituality is not mumbo jumbo. It's not about Babaji's antics and the demons that have to be exorcised and none of that.
Thank you, sir. And I hope that I can include this in my life to not believe in the experiences and to focus on ego or self. Synonymous. Thanks a lot.
Welcome. He's been on the stage. In short.
Hello, Acharya, I'm Harsh. I'm currently third year, and I've been listening to you till like around 30 months. 30 months, 30. Sitting next to you is very great. Acharya, my question is that I love sports, and That's why I'm preparing for an upcoming sports tournament. I practice very sincerely and I practice most of the time overtime because I love playing. But when the match happens, when the tournament is there, the mind freezes, the performance collapses, and it's not that very much like, okay, I will lose, that's fine. But why I'm not able to perform at my level? That's the main issue. And
In practice, you perform better.
yeah, and the problem is that this has been happening till 1 year. So my motivation to participate in the next upcoming sports tournament has reduced, and I think
Play to win, but don't intend to project or consume the results of victory. Which sport do you?
like I play hockey.
Fine. Play to win. Play to win. But don't care too much about what happens after the victory or after the defeat.
I think I care about that thing a lot.
That's what blocks you.
I investigated a lot. I think I'm in a situation where I connect myself, but to win and lose so much that if I
Winning is fine. Winning is fine. But the win should be meaningless. By meaningless, I don't imply something negative. I mean empty of meaning. Victory must be the objective, but not an objective which will fetch you further pleasures. Yes, obviously, if I'm on the hockey ground, I intend to score the goal. I intend to pass nicely. I intend to receive nicely. I intend to do all the things that are needed to be a good player and help my side win the match. Fine. But I'm not at all thinking about what the victory brings to me or what the defeat would mean to me. No. No.
I used to think about it a lot. I said to myself that I will not think about that, but mind is not out of control. Mind just keeps thinking about that thing.
Then that simply means you don't love hockey enough. You have to be so much in love with hockey that there is no space for any thought of future to intrude. In fact, how exactly do you get, because hockey, fine, the nature of hockey is such that there are periods when you are not in possession of the ball, right? And that's when you start thinking of this and that.
No, that time mind just freezes completely.
Mind cannot freeze. If the mind freezes, that's actually a very good thing. If the mind freezes, that simply means that now, just as the ball is going around, you too will go around without any blockage. Mind is not freezing. The mind is obsessed with results.
I have thoughts that if I will win, then I will get the social validation.
Yes, and it's not just about the thing of validation. It's not just about hockey. It's so much about academics as well. It applies to everybody here. If you will think about what happens next, you'll not be able to immerse yourself in what is here right now. Obviously, there are at the practical level certain immediate objectives. One does remember those objectives, but one does not carry them too far into the future. Thinking about the future, thinking of results and results of results and contingencies and scenarios will simply block you. As you are speaking to me, you are also same time projecting what my response would be like.
Not really, no.
So that's why this conversation is almost smooth. Just as you right now said, I think so. Did you have to think about the result or the future?
No.
So that's why it was smooth.
Came out spontaneously.
Spontaneously, right? Same thing. There was this Australian Open final today. Do you really think the players had time to think of what happens if I do not win this? What happens if I do win this? This would be the 25th slam. I would be the greatest of all times. And no, nothing. If you start thinking of all that, there is no spontaneity left. And that also, this is at the result level, but more importantly, that tells that love for action is missing.
I will investigate into that. That was helpful. During the practice session, I don't really think about that.
Because results are not at stake.
That's why I practice like around 4 to 5 hours. I'm at fun. people tell me that why.
Yeah, have fun on the field also.
Yeah.
Yeah? When you have a match that is said to be consequential, don't forget to have fun.
Yeah.
So apart from the victory, what other motivation should we have while doing a certain task or things?
Why do you need motivation? I mean, why is this little thing called love not sufficient? What other motivation does one need? Motivation is like an external push. Call it passion, call it whatever. If you are into something, it is understood that you have a strong enough internal reason to be there. Otherwise, why are you there at all? Don't be there. Only the unwilling ones have to be motivated and pushed. Motivation, in fact, is a dirty word, especially in the spiritual lexicon. The Bhagavad Gita is centered around motiveless action. Action without motivation. But unfortunately, in the land of Bhagavad Gita, there is so much hype around motivation. Was Krishna motivating Arjuna? In fact, he was telling him, don't have any motive at all, just fight. Just fight because it is the right thing to do. No motive is needed, just fight. Motiveless action. You don't need any motivation, and if you need motivation, you are in the wrong field. You are operating from the wrong center. Anybody needing motivation should recheck his interiors. Yes, Rohit. What's next?
Raise your hand, please.
नमस्ते आचार्य जी। अपना सवाल हिंदी में रखूँगा। मैं MA फर्स्ट ईयर का स्टूडेंट हूँ। उत्कर्ष नाम है मेरा, और आपको काफ़ी सालों से सुन रहा हूँ मैं, और यूट्यूब पर और गीता कम्युनिटी का भी पार्ट हूँ मैं। तो काफ़ी सारे बदलाव आए हैं लाइफ में। सुपरस्टिशंस लाइक काफ़ी हट गए हैं, काफ़ी चीज़ें इंटीग्रेटेड अप्रोच मैं देखता हूँ चीज़ों को। लेकिन जब मैं अपनी आदतों को देखता हूँ, अपनी टेंडेंसीज, अपनी वृत्तियाँ, तो कई सारी वो सेम बदली नहीं है। मतलब वो जैसे कि लस्ट, तो कोई भी लड़की अट्रैक्टिव सामने आती है तो वो अनकंफर्टेबल फील करता हूँ, और काफ़ी एक्साइटेड और एजिटेटेड। तो वो चीज़ मतलब क्यों नहीं बदलती, तो फिर काफ़ी फ्रस्ट्रेशन भी होता है, और लाइक काफ़ी डिप्रेस फील होता है कि ये चीज़ क्यों नहीं बदलनी। तो इस चीज़ पर आपका मार्गदर्शन चाहिए। धन्यवाद।
तुम्हारे घर में कुछ रखा हुआ है, वो तुम्हें बहुत स्वादिष्ट लगता है, कि खाने की चीज रखी है तुम्हारे ही घर में, ठीक है। चीज ऐसी है जिसका तुम्हें बड़ा जायका है। कोई बाहर से आकर के अधिक से अधिक यही तो बता सकता है ना कि वो जो चीज है वो सड़ चुकी है। यही तो कर सकता है। घर तुम्हारा है, कोई जबरदस्ती तुम्हारे घर में उठ कर घुस करके तुम्हारे घर से उठा करके तुम्हारी चीज को बाहर नहीं फेंक सकता। हाँ, तुम्हारे घर में कोई चीज रखी थी, अंधेरे में रखी थी, कोई आकर उस पर थोड़ी रोशनी डाल सकता है। कोई आकर के उस पर थोड़ा प्रयोग करके तुम्हें बता सकता है ये चीज सड़ी हुई है। यही तो करेगा। उसके आगे का काम तो तुम्हारी नीयत का है। तुम्हारा फैसला अगर अभी भी यही है कि नहीं मुझे सड़ा हुआ खाना ही है, तो कोई क्या कर लेगा? कोई डॉक्टर भी किसी मरीज को पकड़ करके जबरदस्ती दवाई तो नहीं खिला सकता। वो यही करता है कि प्रिस्क्रिप्शन लिख देता है, उसके बाद तुम बाहर जाओ, प्रिस्क्रिप्शन ले लो, दवाई ना खाओ तो क्या होगा? और दवाई तुम खा भी लो तो ये बात शरीर के रोगों पर चल जाएगी कि डॉक्टर ने दवाई दी, आपने खा ली तो शरीर के रोग फिर भी साफ हो गए। पर जब भीतर की बात आती है ना, तो वहां अपना फैसला सब कुछ तय करता है। कोई तुमको कितना भी समझा ले, बुझा ले, साफ साफ सच्चाई दिखा ले, पर नियत, फैसला, ईमानदारी, इनका कोई विकल्प नहीं होता। ये कोई काम बाहर वाला तुम्हारे लिए नहीं कर सकता।